What's your strange fetish and how did it develop? A few weeks ago, my husband rubbed my thigh with the backside of a sharp knife. I really liked it for some reason. Maybe the slight danger of being cut, the chill of the knife. I don't know. I'm also into light bondage, but that's not too strange. Male chastity and orgasm denial for me. My first GF was about 4 years older than me, much more experienced. Fine, she was my best mate's sister. Sorry dude. Always had a thing for her and come to find out she felt the same way, so we got together. She was really assertive and totally knew what she was doing while I fumbled around like a frisky little idiot. Anyway, I said something like, I wish I could make you CM properly, I don't think I'm gonna last, or words to that effect. Next thing I knew, she pushed me off her, blue balled as frick, and just shoved my head down. And that's how my first relationship taught me it was way more fun to eat a girl out until she was done than just getting to CM myself. Like seriously, as a guy you CM once and it feels good but you're basically done. Compared with eating pee until she literally can't take any more and she decides if you did a good enough job to get to frick her. Yeah, that's way more pleasure for everyone. So yeah, my kink is that I like to be kept in a dong cage, unable to CM or even get hard unless my partner decides I've earned an unlocking. All while giving her as much pleasure as she wants, or even being totally ignored while I go crazy for lack of release. I guess with the age difference 17 versus 21, it's a bit creepy to be introduced to that. Legal here though, but I'd totally do it again if I got a chance to repeat life, or now. Tickling. Not 100% sure where it started. Being tickled always made me feel funny, so I hated it when family members would do it. Just felt too intimate. When I was young, a friend of mine pinned me on her bed and made me hold my arms over my head while she tickled my armpits, and scolded me every time I pulled my arms down. When I got older and actually started having what I'd call a libido, I got pretty interested in bondage and fantasies involving debauchery or reluctance. I was really intrigued by some light torture fantasies, but not particularly turned on by pain. So enter tickling. Weirdly unpleasant, potentially non-consensual, but not actually painful. I certainly tend toward being submissive and I enjoy being tied up and forced to CM and stuff, and I cane my physical partners for that. But I have never mentioned the tickling thing. I feel too weird about it, and also like the real thing would not live up to the fantasy, but it makes up probably 90% of my masturbation material. I don't think is weird at all, I like it. For me it goes back when we were kids and tickled each other and got that blood boiling feeling that you don't know how to explain. I haven't tough about it until now. Very interesting, and I don't think her partners would mind. Mind control and domination in general, I guess, but definitely mind control. Not sure how it developed exactly, but it may have something to do with the fact that I'm not that confident in real life, and something like mind control kinda removes that part from the equation. Definitely a purely fantastical fetish. I mean, erotic hypnosis is a thing, so if you ever decide you want to bring your fantasies to life a little bit, you could look into that. Well, I have a myriad, but one I'm still somewhat shy about is being into DDLG. I don't know what actually caused it, perhaps daddy issues combined with having to grow up very quickly as a child, but I want to share the story of what really brought it to my attention. I had occasionally been acting as a big for my boyfriend for a while, but one night when I got home from work I was just incredibly sore and tired, and when I got in I saw my boyfriend had drawn a bubble bath for me. He helped me get undressed and helped me into the bath and basically treated me like a little girl to be taken care of. When I got out he wrapped me in a towel and brushed my hair for me. I've never felt so loved and cared for, at least not that I can remember. I actually cried because of it. We discussed it the next day and decided that yes, I'd like to try being little for him sometimes like he was for me. A happy, 1950s style wholesome life. Nothing gets me hotter than whispering in a woman's ear that I'm going to marry her and have 2 kids, and we'll do Mexico twice a year and a Europe trip every 3rd year where we'll tour museums and castles. It's like, I've had so much kinky fricking and fricked up crap that I've come back around again. Also, I would hate to actually live that life, but I can see its appeal. Like how with a debauchery fetish the person could be disgusted by actually violating someone but turned on by playing pretend. I get turned on by playing a pretend wholesome life. Sometimes this worries me. Doesn't seem right. You're normaling. Pubic hair. I was about 17/18 and I was tasked with babysitting my niece. She's a wonderful girl, and when I babysat her she was an infant. My mother told me before my niece was dropped off that if I had to change her diaper, it meant I had to make sure she was clean, which meant also making sure she didn't have crap in her vulva. I was a pretend adult at the time, so I felt it was just something you gotta do. I want to have a daughter of my own one day and I can't just be handing her off like a lazy quarterback every time I think I got to see her privates. So yeah, suck it up, B. She pooped, as humans do, and I cleaned it up like a man do. I felt kinda proud of myself for not being overly hyped by the whole thing. Just went into like Mr. Science Man mode and changed her diaper. There was no problem until the next day. The next day I had plans with a certain lovely lady friend to hang. Things were going pretty decently until pants on the ground when I see rather than trimming the hedges she'd gone and scorched the earth. Well, boner killer. It was like a Hollywood numb flashback. I saw her cooter, and suddenly I'm in the bathroom cleaning up my niece. Nope. Took a while before I stopped pushing rope. Had to get the frickin' thing out of my head. Luckily she had a bangin' butt. Freaking heck man, think about the phrasing in that backstory. I'm not sure how strange it is, but I love seeing women wearing a towel. Seeing a woman nude is great. Seeing her wear skimpy clothes is great. Seeing her in her steamiest outfit is great. But when I see a woman wearing nothing but a towel, it's like I turned back into a teen that sees a boob for the first time. Boots kept on during steamy time. I know I've had a thing for chicks in boots for a while, but it wasn't until my ex left them on while we were getting down that I realized how powerful it was. God dang, it got me going. When the chicks still have clothing on. When they're totally naked it's kind of just I guess bland after like a minute. When there's clothes on it looks playful and spontaneous. Needless to say I'm glad RCFNM exists. I could care less about what the males look like though. Girls that change their hair color a lot. Combo of anime as a kid, but when I saw Ramona Flowers and the fact she changed her hair color so often I was in love. Something about the carefree IDGAF attitude mixed with her being hot as heck. Also, if a girl can fight, that is insanely hot. That one may be due to watching a lot of kung fu movies as a kid. I too am into Nymphadora tonks. I have a major freckle fetish. Not sure if it's because I was really attracted to this redhead in 3rd grade with freckles, or if because as a kid I was so completely covered in them that after all the torture, teasing and humiliation it became like an S&M thing for me. Like some people having a body humiliation kink. Sometimes I'd be held down and have connect the dot played on me. So these days I'm being look for both girls and guys with extreme freckles. I seek out ginger freckle P, and I like to be shamed teased about my own freckles. Isn't that a really strangest fetish? I'm a woman, and I have a huge fetish for cross-dressing men. My other big fetish is men's secondary physical characteristics, namely facial hair and body hair. There is nothing hotter to me than a big, hairy, burly guy in some pretty lingerie and stockings. When I was a kid, before I even knew cross-dressing was a thing, the only time I ever saw it was on TV or in the movies. Obvious men in drag, usually under pressure not to be found out humiliated, was done for comedy. Klinger on MASH, bosom buddies, Tootsie, even Bugs Bunny dressed up for a laugh. I was a little confused why I found it so appealing, but I did and still do. As an adult, I don't just find it appealing, I find it very appealing. I'm lucky because I've found a partner who happily dresses for me on a regular basis. He's not a crossdresser and had never dressed before he met me. Now he's in panties and lingerie at least once a week. I even have a new pair for him in my bag for tomorrow. I feel like based on the other comments you are in very high demand. I'm into fisting. Oh, my poor inbox. When I was 12, I got kind of obsessed with putting stuff in my pee. I discovered that I really liked feeling stretched and full, and really liked seeing things go inside me. Naturally, I started trying larger and larger stuff, like Red Bull cans, bottles, shampoo and body spray, a few big cucumbers, candles. I was on a 2-week trip with my parents when I was 14 and didn't have anything that could work, so I started stuffing in fingers. 4 fingers was fine. Thumb went in too, and I got off really hard. So the next night, I did it again, all 5 fingers in, and I just kept pushing. Ran into some resistance around my knuckles, and it hurt, but after a while I relaxed enough that they popped in and I could go all the way to the wrist, and I came harder than I ever had before, like shaking, crying, squirting, toes curling. So now I'm 20 and I've been doing it ever since. Probably 4-5 times a week, but sometimes every day. I'm good enough at it now, and I get wet enough that I can have my hand inside me in about 10 minutes. I do a lot of Kegels, and most guys I've been with would never suspect. I've never had someone else fist me but would like to soon. One of my fetishes thanks to a girl I had a crush on. This girl was the first to really show any interest in me, so as a frisky teen I would do anything. She wanted to dress me up in her clothes. I'm all dressed up and things start getting heavy and hot. I prematurely ejaculate into the panties I'm wearing and she laughs. I could have died from embarrassment and I just ran. Never saw her again. That was the only time that I ever felt wanted by someone, so in my mind I associate being cross-dressed with being loved and wanted by women. Wet and messy is another. Started as a kid watching Nickelodeon and seeing kids have unbelievable fun on Double Dare, so it was always a dream of mine. Then it actually happened. I finally got slimed and it was amazing. The texture of it, the feeling of it oozing down you. So in reality it makes me feel like a kid again. Even more on a deeper level, it is a connection I have with someone who is helping me complete my dream that makes it so very intimate and not even in a physical way. TLDR. Girl dressed me up in her clothes and I am now a crossdresser and I like getting slimed because Nickelodeon. You're fascinating. At the time my orientation was developing, I had no self-esteem. I was an awkward, bullied kid who could hardly keep even just a couple of friends, and had one bully who was determined to get me to kill myself. I genuinely believed nobody would ever see anything in me. The sad part is, I now feel differently. I gained some social skills, along with other skills, and feel I have at least some value or potential as a human. Unfortunately my orientation is still totally fricked. I can't get off to anything but extreme humiliation and degradation. I want nothing more than to be able to have healthy, normal private life like every other college student is. Instead, the hottest thing I've ever done is served pancakes to 2 of my female friends wearing a dress and a chastity belt. Instead, the hottest thing I've ever done is served pancakes to 2 of my female friends wearing a dress and a chastity belt. Honestly, that mental image turned me on. Balloons. Simple as it sounds, I really enjoy blowing up and popping balloons in various ways. It was originally a severe phobia. As a child I would avoid parties and any place where balloons were likely to be around. Sometime during puberty I discovered that this crippling fear would cause an adrenaline rush. I don't remember much of the process, but I remember one day I was tired of being afraid, so I started blowing balloons up, convincing myself that I needed to get over it. Next thing I know I'm sitting on them, bouncing repeatedly until they burst, and I'm so turned on I can't help myself. The balloons weren't the only thing that exploded that day, and now here I am. Transformation or growth. It kind of started when I watched the scenes from Power Rangers where the bad guy girl would transform and grow all while making odd moans. I have what is called a stuck fetish, meaning I get off on seeing women get their feet stuck in glue. I don't know how exactly it started, but my guess would be from seeing cartoons as a kid where that's a common trope. Plus I know I have had a foot fetish from an early age too. What? No panty sniffers? Maybe I didn't scroll down far enough. Anyway, panties. Yep, I love them, and love sniffing them. Getting a whiff of a lady's juices makes me rock hard. Inhaling a huge lungful of lust sauce right as I'm about to see M is even better. Weirdest feet, and I don't really know how. My earliest memory of it was in 5th grade. I had a crush on a girl and she took her shoes off during math and I could not take my eyes off them for almost 2 hours. IDK really no. I don't know really no. That hurt my brain a little. My weird fetish is the idea of giving birth. I don't know how this happened, but when I was a little girl, I would feel way more embarrassed watching dramatic Hollywood birth scenes than adult scenes in movies. I used to be extremely ashamed about it. but now I've kind of come to terms with the fact that fantasizing about being pregnant and going into labor isn't hurting anyone, so I might as well enjoy it. I'd like to have children of my own someday, so I'm definitely looking forward to realizing childbirth is nothing like my fantasies and isn't wet at all. I suppose a few things. Close-up videos of licking sucking female nipples. Started with erogenous experimentation with an ex. Still love getting off to my nipples being sucked on. Watching men CM into clear dolls toys. That started because I have a bad habit of encouraging my man to CM into me in the heat of passion. Danger thrill. We don't use BC. And recently, those small machines that pump corn cobs in and out of girls. Not sure what they are called, but I might want one. 22/F. I love being told by my boyfriend that I've been bad, that I'm so good to that dong, and I'll lose it when he says hold it right there for daddy. I just literally want to melt. Basically I love feeling like his personal S while he is just pounding me until nothing else exists, and I'm so helpless because all I can do is take that dong I love so much. Sometimes all I can do all day at work is think about the next time I'll have it down my throat. It makes me feel really loved and secure and taken care of. There was this ginger chick at my high school. Pale as a ghost. Lots of freckles. Bright blue eyes. She was hot. And here we are. 4. Fantasizing about being swallowed whole and alive by someone or something. It started as a play pretend game in early childhood when my dad told me the piranha plants in Mario were similar to real life Venus flytraps. And also from watching lots of kids movies and stories that had characters trying to eat each other. I'd wrap up in a sheet and pretend I was being eaten. That coziness and fascination with being in peril and in a vulnerable submissive position ended up turning physical as early as 3rd or 4th grade. I didn't realize until the middle of high school that others were into the same thing. Now I'm an adult and it's never gone away. Lobsters. It started with a large, 4-ish feet, lobster stuffed animal that conveniently developed a small hole around the time I was going into puberty, and later included a rubber lobster that also ended up with a hole in it. Chicks, but get this, chicks with dongs. I don't know why, I don't know how. I consider myself straight and can't even think about doing anything with another man without feeling a little disgusted, but something about MTF trans girls gets me freaking going. I'd like to emphasize that I do not solely seek out MTF trans women as a fetishist item. Not that I could yet. I'm underage anyways. And I understand that they are people just like anyone else looking for real relationships, and that's what I've always had in mind. People PM some mean things when they're offended. I think I know why, because I have this attraction. 2. You like male genitalia, but not the male it's attached to. It seems obvious if you think about it that way, but you may not realize it. Girls peeing. It started when I saw a post on RWTF of a girl urinating on a sofa. I then discovered RP. The rest is history. Chastity. Meaning I'm super into the idea of male chastity devices. Dong cages made of plastic or metal that keep you from getting erect. The main draw is the accumulated horniness. For some reason the thought of getting more and more frisky is better than the actual release. It can go from a few hours to a few days for me. In the fantasy it's longer, but that's hard to do. Some people have gone years. A big part of it is also dominance and roleplay. Being controlled and taking on a certain role in the bedroom. For straight men it often involves pegging or having their wife cheat on them and humiliate them. Sometimes cross-dressing is a thing. For me, as a gay dude, it's about clear old distinctions as a bottom top and being so frisky that all I can think about is how to please my man. I would love to ride backdoor a submissive femboy trap who is bound and crying from the power I have. I guess my fetish was too crazy. Oh well. Well, I sometimes wish I was in the receiving end of that from a woman. I like bellies. Big, small, round, flat, belly buttons, belly paunches, everything to do with them. Pregnant bellies, fat bellies, bellies that stick out because you stuffed yourself silly with endless shrimp at Red Lobster. It don't matter. Little bellies on thin girls that wiggle them around while they're dancing are cute to me. Any kind of feminine belly, really. Just want to bury my face in them. Rub them all day long. I think it started because when I was young, my parents kept several medical books around. The only pictures of naked women in these books were pregnant. So, in addition to the standard T and B package most guys go for, I saw bellies in various sizes and shapes, and I went for it. Not only that, anytime a girl gets pregnant, her belly swells up with proof of what she's done. Proof that she knows how to be hot enough to get herself knocked up. There's an implication to the fact that she's fulfilling her genetic destiny, or something like that. I'd see girls walking around, women who were late in their second trimester, or just coming into the start of the third, and just know what happened. Eventually I was able to tell whether a girl was pregnant or not earlier. There was just something different about that shape. Even now, I sometimes know when someone is with child before they do. Maybe I'm smelling something and aren't aware of it, or maybe I imagine everyone pregnant at first and only remember the ones that eventually got knocked up, but it's happened a few times. Those aha, I knew it moments. One of my top fantasies is violation. Obviously I don't condone it in real life, but between consenting adults, it can be fun. My partner and I have done it a few times and we both enjoy it. We are in a BDSM relationship already, so consent plays a huge factor in our private life to begin with. Same here. I don't tell anyone obviously because they would most likely get the wrong idea. But I think it just has something to do with the extreme taboo nature of it, as I was a semi-sheltered child. I love BDSM. It came from the eerie YouTube days before everything was heavily moderated. Being a younger kid I typed in something dumb like AAAAAAAAAA and came across a video of a Japanese girl who had a collar and leash on. She was the flesh slave of two guys and I thought it was a little weird but hot as frick. That began the descent into jerking it all the time at a young age for me. 18-year-old female. I saw a video when I was in 6th grade of a mother showing daughter how to French kiss. Ever since then I have been into older women and men. Love FDMD or when MILFs older men forcefully touch or seduce a young teen girl. I'm a mesophiliac, aka I find pregnant women hot. However, let it be known that I would never actually date one. And I am in fact terrified of children and the idea of ever being a father. As for how it came about, I honestly don't know. What I like about it is the belly, but where does that come from? My current theory is that it's because for some reason my mother watched a lot of shows about pregnancy when I was little, and it stuck with me. I've got a high pain tolerance and had a tendency to do fairly mild self-harm when I was depressed because I was dissociating badly and it was grounding. It's still soothing and exciting all at once. I also like not having to figure out how someone is thinking. So if they tell me explicitly what they want me to do and I do well, I get to be a good girl and that makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. Basically I function best in a highly structured environment even if self-imposed, and BDSM is just a natural extension of that. Eating pee, not as foreplay but as just the physical act on its own. My ex couldn't see M from pee fricking, only from riding back doors or my going down on her. I get turned on by making my CM so it turned into a fetish. I love that crap. Bless you. My primary fetishes are diapers and wetting diapers, pants, etc. For most of my life I wasn't entirely sure where this fetish came from. I always chalked it up to childhood curiosity manifesting into a fetish with puberty. But recently I've developed a theory. As a child, I was a bedwetter, and in grade 1 went through a period of time in which I was more accident prone than average. As a result, the thought of having to wear diapers was in the back of my mind for some reason. Thinking about these things as a kid embarrassed me, and the increased stress caused a slight increase in blood pressure and resultant random boners. And I guess when I highly puberty in the random boxers became less random. Some wires got crossed. My body learned to associate thoughts of diapers and peeing myself with getting a boner, and therefore with physical arousal, and now I have like 60 diapers hidden in my room. I like women who are from southern Wisconsin, who like men who have a steady job, house, and would like to have a kid one day. Those gals totally get me off. I beat my meat to some iffy crap, furry, animated, etc. Then on other days I'm back to brazzers. Of course the comment about my weird fetish pee is one of my most popular. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.